in the first 4 games.
George on the pull-up, nails a three.
They ranked 29th in the league in three-point percentage. Paul George, a little mid-range jump.
He's still only 25 in his 5th season. Break it off,
Oh, no.
and the foul.
Oh, no.
That's not fair either.
Hold up.
Paul George broke it on.
Paul George, go-to guy, spin on Reeves, impossible to
For that screen. You can't catch up and get back into the picture.
Paul George, pull-up jumper, got it. Fearless. Here's Paul George now back in the game at the 7:32 mark. He goes to work in the paint, fakes a pass, spins, corkscrews, and hits a fadeaway jumper.
Kept the set. The Blazers
happy for that young man. George has got a little one-on-one, pulls it back, and buries it. Paul George.
early, make Paul George see bodies.
George crosses, sweeps it right back to Larry Nance. It's stick.
Bridges brings it back out. George over Bridges. Another.
Figure this thing out and kind of get some stabilization.
George on the wing for three. George with a screen from Patterson. Flings a three, and it is all systems.
KZ guarding Paul George. George, step back. Oh.
Paul George off the man screen. George working against Buddy Hield. And Paul George.
The fact that they got a defensive stop and an attack in transition creates a good look in Paul George.
Paul George makes his move behind the back. Pulls up jumper. It's good.
Players in the league on and off the floor. George back in the game, making an imprint to the rim. Oh, and gets the bounce.
George. By George, the Clippers lead.
George, step back three, put it in with a
Drives on McDermott, stops on a dime. He's the mid-range of the season against the Knicks the other day. George, a step away. It's good. The first bucket for Paul George.
Oh, why?
That's 4 by the Lakers. Here's Paul George, 6 points so far. Make it 8.
Damian Lillard on George. He goes to work. He spins twice. He is fouled and one. Paul
Recognizing we've got to play earlier in the shot clock.
Paul George.
None of that's going to matter, though, if they can't get stops on this end.
That's a tough shot, Paul George.
Clippers looking for the lead. George puts it up out the window. It's good. Are you kidding me? Paul George with 20.
Shots in the first 6 minutes of the fourth quarter. George.
Oh, book it for Paul George.
Six Payne gets inside. Layup blocked by Zubac.
George comes the other way. Here comes Paul George. Gets inside. Layup. Beat backs.
They're in perfect position to get it. Back to Paul. Gallops into the lane. Sneaks to the hole and scoops and scores on it.
Played on 3 teams the last 3 seasons. George, a step back, foul circle jumper. It is good.
Quickly doubled in that corner. Shot clock at 6. 7-2 run here by the Clippers.
I just took some cash. And that's cash right there.
Years at Florida State, the former Seminole. Paul George, he's in very deep. Reverse layup is good for Paul George.
Next level defender that the Clippers don't have. Should be more opportunities to attack.
Splitting defender.
Of 7 from the 3-point line. George for 3.
Oh, he knocked it down. Paul George with a dozen.
Anyway, I'm not going to put this guy in position to get hurt moving forward.
They still got another all-star out there, and Paul George. Batum got it.
George was 7 shooting for the Clippers. Drives in on Bullock. He goes in the house.
Hello, nasty.
40% shooting for the Clippers inside, forcing it.
He's signaling to the referees.
George off the pick, into the lane, the Euro step, and...
But he hasn't been on the floor in a game since the 22nd of December. How about that?
9-12 to play. Paul George.
Disappears.
4 on the 24. Paul George from long distance.
Far side to George. Late in the clock. Step away 3.
Wow. Paul George knocks. Carolina, that looked like a 4-corner stall.
Uh-oh.
And Paul, look out.
It's Leonard, gets
7 points. Clippers are down by 6. George, can he do it again? Yes, sir!
George drives into traffic, pulls up, shot's good. Hornets down 10. Paul George, a step back 3.
George tries to play a two-man game as he calls his own.
George once again, Bogdanovich. Step back 3, splash for Paul George. He is figured out.
The last game that Zubac was in foul trouble, and he just got uber aggressive.
Paul George
Down by 5. They're just joining us. Kawhi Leonard on the bench with 2 quick fouls. George launching butter.
Paul George leads the way with a dozen for 3. Paul George leads the way with 15 on a perfect without the mask. George looking to draw foul, drills it.
George, who scored some points as well. Little step back 3, and George.
come playoff time.
And Bird, they were 17-3 in 20 games.
12-point Blazer lead. Paul George trying to get it off. Does for 3. Yes, and a whistle.
Bulls just 4 of 14 here in the 3rd quarter, so the defense has a say. Get in there, count it.
George Leonard on the floor for LA. George, big finish, and the foul.
Make. George going 2 for 1, the 3.
Oh my goodness!
To a 1-point lead. Here come the Clippers. George muscling in on Highsmith, and the foul.
Ball just stopped. Down 5. Keegan guarding George. George spinning, layup.
And he'll just go into it with the utmost confidence.
12-4 Sacramento run. George, look. George. Tough shot. Score for them
In game 1. It'll be Paul George.
Into Clipper run, making it now, approaching 6 to play. Oh,
They're starting 5 on the floor. They've led by as many as.
After an emotional and tough series against Utah from Friday night to Sunday.
Clippers. There'll be no shot blocking at the rim.
George, jumper. Got it! Paul George.
Here come the Clippers the other way. George, pedal to the metal, tied up, finishes with.
Phoenix has a foul to give. George drives, goes inside for the slam. With 2. Ever since, lead cut down to 8. George in attack mode to the rim. A graceful glide, and he leads. George. The fadeaway. And he fails the putback. George. Saw Porzingis step
to the traditional center, and then we'll see more of LeBron and at times, of course, AD at that spot. So just expect Dwight for now.
Knows what we're emphasizing, so it hasn't been too big of a challenge. Now, in 3 games since his return, the average.
PG checks the rear view. Long strides, chops his steps into the lane. The 1-2, count it, and the foul. Paul George, head down, shoulders leaning, right to the cup for the 2.
And that is just 1 of 8 from beyond the arc. It kind of has been that way the last few games.
Paul George.
There you go.
There you go. He's inside. 3-point line. Clippers creeping back into it. George from the line to the lane to the rim. Oh, takes it to the house and makes a little noise.
Clipper defense, but we got a long way to go till we get to that game.
George glides. Not yet the enemy, but it's getting there. George down the lane to the rim. Off
As well. Well, you know why he's so smart, right? I mean, he's highly intelligent, like Paul George right there with that jump shot.
The ball reversed to the other side of the floor. They played 2-on-2 on one side.
It's a 4-point lead for the Spurs. George, reorganizing in mid-second basket. George saunters down the lane.
Pace up.
George down the lane. Look out, bus game. Paul George, the step back.
He got to get on transition and run. He did it earlier, but you need more of it.
George frees himself up and
Battling inside. Just out-jumped Zubac there. All 7 of his field goals in the paint. That will count. Clippers have the ball. George driving past Bam. Paul George for.
Paul George was trying to get that ball. Here is George as he.
The Wizards look like they're in that matchup 2-3 zone right now.
It's Paul George getting to the...
Knowing that the defense, but the Clips wasn't set, able to drop it into Orlando for easy two.
George, strong drive, back to the basket, lays it up and in. 21 for Paul George.